What up and welcome in. We've got the Spurs and the Warriors here, second broadcast game of this little stretch. Spurs have been on a little bit of a cold streak, 4-7 since late November. Mateo Delgado has been maybe the largest struggling piece of that Spurs rotation. You get a look there, his numbers, 25.2 per season, but his three-pointer, which was just astronomically high earlier in the season, has come back down to earth. Sidney Cross back in the starting lineup for the Spurs. He has been really struggling to stay healthy so far this season. Back and calf injuries have prevented him from being fully present. That was the big offseason transaction for San Antonio to upgrade at the point guard position. Without him healthy, they just really haven't been able to really look like their true selves. As you get a look there at Jalen House, he's been red hot since the Warriors inserted him into the starting lineup. 11 straight games of 23 more minutes or more. He scored above 12 in 9 of those 11. He's just a nice addition, the rookie is, as a defender. And so far, that 6'4" backcourt between Roll and House has not been a major issue as we get underway here in the opening quarter. Javon Roll making maybe a little MVP case as he gets that to go over Sidney Cross. He's one of the better point guards in the league, obviously, as Kuminga gets that. Of course, we're not showing all the free throws, so a couple free throws mixed in. Kareem Livingston kicks it out to Carlos Fernandez for the triple. Best point guard in the league, two-time MVP as Mateo Delgado gets rolling, but he has been just about as you'd expect, especially after struggling early on in the season, as Jalen House is going to tickle the twine here on a triple. That's really, if you want to talk about the difference for this Warriors team in the last couple weeks, it's been the addition of that man right there as House buries a second one. He's just been the type of three-point shooter that they did not have with Keon Granger and Jaheim Briggs. Both of those two just were good as Javon Roll does a little 3-11 fire to the house, pushes the lead up. Free throws makes it 16-7. But Jalen House has just been a nice addition. They didn't have great production from Keon Granger. They didn't have great production from Jaheim Briggs. Briggs was never a real three-point threat. As we're getting a look here at the Branko Todorovic at the point position as he gets beat there in the post, a little double. Look at this, 7'8", Aiden Lucas back in there as Todorovic can't get it. But that's why the Warriors took a swing on him late in the first round. Last pick of the first round was taken on Aiden Lucas. And look, he has not been, as we get a little first quarter highlights as that comes to a close, Lucas has really not been in the rotation probably as much as he should, as a little breakdown there. That's going to be an easy bucket. Here's Todorovic at point, filling in for Jaheim Briggs. So I'd be interested to see if Golden State tries to find a way to factor him into their long-term plans a little bit. 7'8", he's just by being out there, he's an offensive and defensive force. He's the largest player in basketball. Is rising up, a little change of hands. We'll get a second look at this drive to the rack from Deontay Dixon. But curious to see how they go. This is a very young group. If you're going to play Aiden Lucas, as Jermaine Trimble gets that to go, he's been a nice revelation. But if you're going to play Todorovic, who's got the ball there, you're going to play Jalen House, who's driving to the rack here, you're going to play Aiden Lucas. Those guys are all rookies, right? Jalen House came over in the Shane Ruffin draft day trade. That's a big move for Golden State to try to add some pieces. They didn't get a veteran. Seems unlikely they're going to grab one, so they'll need production from those guys as Carlos Fernandez knots this thing up at 27. But so long as that man is rolling, and my goodness, he is a threat. Deontay Dixon, here's another look. He is the most vertical athlete. If the NBA wanted a perfect NBA Finals, I think it's Boston versus Golden State and just letting Amari Swift and Deontay Dixon go toe-to-toe. And I think if you look, let's go crystal ball as that bucket gives San Antonio the lead. If you go crystal ball, I think that could be a incredible rivalry at the forward position. Interesting here, Aiden Lucas getting some action in the paint on that last one. Double team. Do it again. San Antonio, unrelenting. Second time down. Kuminga, 2 in a row. Interesting decision by San Antonio to bring the double team on Aiden Lucas, but his inability to really move there on defense hurts him. Can't get out. I mean, look, Aiden Lucas is awesome, his size, but the guy does not move well in the paint. Another double team. This is Javon Roll, wide open triple. Yes, sir, it is. 38-36. Fascinating, the double teams that they're bringing. Is nice move there from Javon Rolls. He gets downhill for a 4-point advantage here late in the first quarter, or first half rather. Let's shift San Antonio. Let's talk some Spurs. They haven't been that great. Sidney Crosby has been hurt. As inside it goes for a little bucket. They've just kind of been disappointing when they haven't been able to get rolling. Timur Kadic gets that to go. He's been their point guard when Cross has not been out there. I think there's a real concern about this team and the health of Sidney Cross. If he can't stay healthy, what does this basketball team look like? And that was the big challenge a season ago when they ended up losing to the Suns in the conference semifinals. Was Carlos Fernandez was good, triple there from roll. Carlos Fernandez was good. Mateo Delgado was phenomenal, but they just got no production out of the point guard position. And so if Golden State, or rather, I apologize, if San Antonio again doesn't get production from the point guard position, whether that's because of Sidney Cross, who's honestly not having that great of a night there as he gets the assist, if Cross isn't rolling or he's not healthy, this isn't a team that's drastically that much different from last year. I mean, I like their center. Deshaun White's a good center. He's not a all-NBA center, as there's a foul on Cross that's going to send Dixon, who's flexing on him, to the line. A chance to make it a 10-point game, which he does not, and the free throws on the other end for San Antonio. We're back to 9. That, I think, is a big challenge, and I'd be curious if you look around the NBA right now, there's a big point guard that could be available, Trae Young in New York. The Knicks have really struggled, but the challenge is going to be Trae Young's contract, $52 million he is owed this season, last year of his deal. So for a team to try to get Trae Young, they're going to have to find some type of way to slap together salary. There's not really anyone on San Antonio that you can put in there. They did the big salary move to get Cross. It was unloading Killian Hayes, which paid off for them. I still think Sidney Cross is a better point guard than Killian Hayes as we end the third quarter there with Deontay Dixon going at Cross. But they're going to have to find some way to get production. I think Caleb Love is a great option if they try to go to him. Kadic has been fine, but neither of them are great point guards. So for the Spurs, it's going to be imperative that they figure out some type of either rotation or just keeping Sidney Cross healthy. As fourth quarter, we're going every make, every miss. Aaron Triano, the not often used backup forward, rising up. My God, coming down. That is what they'll need out of Triano. Triano was the piece they got Golden State in the Jalen Blackman deal to Portland. He was a top 10 pick in a less than stellar draft. He's in his, I think, second year in the league now, second or third year. He's been fine. He's had his moments as kind of a rim runner, like we just saw, as good defense there from Jermaine Trimble on the help, stops Carlos Fernandez on the drive. But Triano's an interesting cat if they're going to use him. It's one of many forwards that Golden State has. You look at Keon Granger, Triano, Jermaine Trimble, who gets the board. Of course, Dixon and Kuminga, Jaheim Briggs. They've got quite a few. They love going to that 6'7" to 6'9" forward. So be curious to keep an eye on Triano. Of course, Nico Weems is another guy that doesn't even get playing time for this team. He's a forward. Be very curious to see what this Golden State Warriors group does with all these young forwards, especially this season where they're trying to figure things out. Rising up, they can't get the alley-oop to go. That's going to be transition opportunity. Pull-up jumper off the glass. Kisses in for Kareem Livingston. This is Chad there, former third overall pick. He's not really blossomed. He's kind of bounced around the league, drafted by the Rockets. He gets moved around, goes over to the Eastern Conference. I can't remember off the top of my head the team that he was with over in the Eastern Conference. Makes his way back to Houston last season, and then he's part of the Sidney Cross deal this past summer. That sent Killian Hayes to Houston and Sidney Cross, of course, to the Spurs as a pull-up jumper. Does not fall. There is Triano with the ball. A little off-ball screen action. Freeze up, roll. The Steph Curry patented triple won't go. 67-60 here, just past the midway point of the fourth. Here's Carlos Fernandez. A little step-back action. Gets it. 67-62. Carlos Fernandez, a big piece of why this team feels relatively confident. Kuminga at 30 years old, and here comes Dixon, arriving to the rack. He's been, of course, red hot. Need to hit those free throws, but Dixon again, that downhill threat. He gets 2 to go. It's a 6-point game. Here is Livingston with the ball. Screen, pull-up, jumper, gets it. 68-64. So the Spurs here, under 3 to play, hanging around. Off-ball screen for a moment, gets it. Yes, sir, Russell Kingston. Big Oklahoma driving to the rack, the former Sooner. 2 points. Very easily. Good off-ball screen. That's, of course, what Javon Roll does as a 3-point threat. That shot won't go there. I believe that was Delgado on the miss. Here's Dixon trying to get downhill on Livingston. Foul called. Can't get the harm, but he will head to the line. Gets the first to go and short on the second, so he's 2 of his last 4 from the free throw stripe. Here's Livingston. Down 7, needing a bucket, 2 minutes to go. Drives to the rack. Can't get it to go. Great help defense from Kuminga. A little off-ball screen action. Freeze! Go! Deontay Dixon putting down 2 on Kareem Livingston. Rising up. Vertical threat. The third really highlight dunk that we've seen from that man right there, Deontay Dixon. Here's Delgado. Fadeaway. Jumper. Gets it to go. 73-66. Spurs in need of some buckets. Here's Roll. Open for 3. We talked about it on a podcast not too long ago. That pick and pop with Kuminga and Dixon. And then Javon Roll or Jalen House in full effect there as Delgado can't get it to go. 1 minute left. 10-point game. Feels a little bit on the edge here. One more bucket could spell the end. Here comes Dixon to the rack. Fouled. That's going to send him for 2. Chance to put this thing on ice. Gets the first. Gets the second. So San Antonio, one thing, notice this one. We have not seen much of Carlos Fernandez. Best scorer for this San Antonio Spurs group for pretty much the second half of this fourth quarter. I don't even think he's headed to check in right now as a foul called on Caleb Love sends Kuminga to the line. But shocking move there for the Spurs. They don't use Carlos Fernandez much at all in the fourth, despite him being their top scorer, as Caleb Love gets 2 to go. He'll head to the free throw line, makes that one. Warriors cannot quite run out the clock, so they're going to let Jalen House get 2 points on the break. One last possession, corner 3 for the Spurs won't go. That would be the 11th rebound for Javon Roll and wrap it up 123-104. Golden State improves to 25-6. We talked about Fernandez not playing much in the second half, despite being their team leading scorer, 33 points, 11 of 18. So puzzling decision by the Spurs to leave him on the sideline. But that does it. Another loss for the Spurs. They fall to 4-8 in their last 12. Golden State continues to roll. How about Aiden Lucas in 12 minutes of action? We're back. League Update is coming up next. Thanks for tuning in.